The dust motes danced like malevolent fairies in the single shaft of sunlight piercing the suffocating gloom of our attic. A fittingly eerie ballet for the unfolding drama of my life, which was about to spiral into an abyss of unimaginable betrayal and unspeakable horror, all initiated by my husband, Mark, who, with a disarmingly charming smile and a deceptive glint in his eyes that I now recognize as pure, unadulterated malice, had so smoothly convinced me that cleaning out our forgotten, dust-laden attic would be a delightful surprise, a thoughtful, stress-alleviating gesture meant to bring order to our cluttered lives. Never once hinting, not even with the slightest flicker of guilt, that the true devastating surprise would be the complete and utter annihilation of our 15 years of shared history, our intertwined lives, and every single one of our cherished dreams. My shoulders ached with the unfamiliar, persistent strain of hauling heavy, dusty boxers filled with forgotten relics of our past. My hands were grimy with years of accumulated neglect, and a thin, uncomfortable film of sweat coated my brow. But I pushed through the discomfort, ignored the growing fatigue, fueled by the deceptive warmth of Mark's supposed thoughtfulness, blissfully unaware that each box I moved, each cobweb I brushed away with a casual sweep of my hand, was bringing me inexorably closer to the shattering, soul-destroying revelation of his meticulously constructed double life. A dark, festering secret that had been festering beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect existence, a hidden malignancy that would soon erupt with devastating force and consume everything I held dear, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. He had even, with a meticulousness that now chilled me to the bone, packed us a thoughtful picnic lunch, complete with my favorite iced tea, its condensation now forming rings on a forgotten dusty surface, sitting untouched beside a precarious stack of old photo albums filled with smiling, oblivious faces, a testament to the chilling precision of his deception, making the eventual discovery all the more brutal in its stark, agonizing contrast to his feigned affection, because, truly, with every fiber of my being, I believed him. I believed in us, in the sanctity of our vows, in the unbreakable bond we had forged over a decade and a half of shared laughter, quiet comforts, and unwavering trust. It was tucked away with an almost sinister precision, almost too perfectly, concealed beneath a precarious stack of faded holiday decorations, their glitter long since dulled by time, and a moth-eaten antique quilt, its once vibrant colors now muted and forgotten, a small unassuming shoebox that seemed to hum with a strange, undeniable energy, an almost magnetic pull that subtly drew my gaze despite the myriad other boxes demanding my immediate attention, each one a potential repository of forgotten memories. My fingers, guided by an intuition I now recognized as an agonizing, chilling premonition, moved with a deliberate slowness, carefully lifting the lid, revealing not the expected forgotten keepsakes, not the sentimental childhood mementos I had half anticipated, but a meticulously organized collection of crisp, cream-colored envelopes, each one addressed in a delicate, unfamiliar handwriting that immediately sent a jolt of ice through my veins. A cold, undeniable certainty that confirmed, even before I had read a single word, that this box belonged not to our shared innocent past, but to a hidden, corrosive present, a dark secret that had been festering beneath the surface of our lives. The first letter I unfolded, its paper soft and fragrant with a cloying, unfamiliar scent that was definitely not my perfume, began with a saccharine, intimate phrase that twisted my stomach into a knot of nausea, a sickeningly sweet declaration that instantly confirmed my worst fears. My dearest Mark, I count the minutes until our next stolen kiss, until your strong arms are around me again, away from the prying eyes of your unsuspecting wife, away from the mundane demands of a life you no longer truly desire. My breath hitched, a silent, painful gasp escaping my lips as the damning words blurred before my eyes, each flowing cursive stroke etching itself into the deepest recesses of my heart, like corrosive acid. Because this, I realized with a crushing certainty, wasn't just a love letter. It was a brazen, undeniable declaration of a secret affair, a brutal, unequivocal confirmation of the worst fears I hadn't even consciously acknowledged until this devastating, soul-shattering moment, my hands now trembling uncontrollably with a mixture of shock and burgeoning rage, ripped through the remaining envelopes with a desperate, almost violent urgency, pulling out dozens more, each one a fresh, agonizing stab to my already bleeding heart, its fragile remnants being torn apart by the relentless onslaught of his betrayal, each letter filled with sickeningly intimate details of whispered rendezvous, passionate, illicit embraces, and whispered promises exchanged between my husband, the man I had married, and this other woman, a woman I now knew with a chilling certainty was his coworker. A realization that added yet another layer of bitter, unimaginable pain to the raw, gaping wound in my soul, twisting the knife of betrayal deeper with every word. Nestled beneath the last damning stack of these incriminating letters, as if the cruel hand of fate, or perhaps the universe itself, were determined to leave no shred of doubt about the depth of his treachery, I discovered a thick, well-worn stack of hotel receipts, their edges softened by countless furtive touches, each one dated meticulously, chronologically arranged, marking a grotesque, undeniable timeline of their clandestine encounters, a horrifying itinerary of betrayal that stretched back for months, perhaps even years, revealing countless nights he had supposedly spent working late at the office, or on essential business trips out of town, which were, in reality, spent in the arms of another woman just miles away from our unsuspecting marital bed. The sheer volume of these receipts, their crisp, impersonal details contrasting sharply, sickeningly with the intimate, passionate confessions of the letters, screamed of a calculated, prolonged deception. A betrayal that went far beyond a momentary lapse in judgment or a fleeting weakness, painting a chillingly precise picture of a man living a meticulously crafted double life. A masterpiece of lies built upon a foundation of my unwavering trust. A betrayal so profound it left me breathless, gasping for air in the dusty, suffocating confines of our once sacred attic, now transformed into a tomb of shattered dreams. And then, as if the cruel, omniscient hand of the universe itself decided I hadn't suffered enough, as if there needed to be a final, grotesque punctuation mark on the agonizing sentence of his treachery, my fingers, still numb from the shock of the letters and receipts, brushed against something stiff, something cold, something disturbingly unlike any other innocuous item I had touched that day. Wrapped carelessly and almost contemptuously in an old, brittle newspaper at the very bottom of the shoebox, and when I unwrapped it, my heart froze in my chest. A solid block of ice encasing my lungs, stealing my breath. It was a shirt, one of Mark's casual weekend shirts, the familiar blue plaid pattern, now grotesquely, sickeningly stained, with a dark, dried, unmistakable crimson, a stark, terrifying splash that looked undeniably like blood. Its faint, rusty smell, a distinct chilling whisper in the stale, suffocating attic air, and suddenly the betrayal, the infidelity, the calculated lies, all the agonizing emotional pain of his affair, receded into the background, eclipsed by a new, more primal, more terrifying horror, a chilling, unspeakable question that echoed in the silent, suffocating space of the attic, vibrating through every fiber of my being. Whose blood was it? The sheer overwhelming horror of this discovery, so utterly unexpected and terrifying in its implications, transcended the emotional agony of his affair, plunging me into a nightmare far darker, far more dangerous, far more utterly incomprehensible than anything I could have ever conceived, leaving me gasping for breath, my lungs burning, the air thick with the palpable weight of fear and the lingering, nauseating scent of old dust and unspeakable secrets. My mind, reeling from the successive brutal blows of discovery, raced frantically, desperately trying to piece together a coherent, horrifying narrative from these disjointed fragments of his monstrous secret life. A narrative that now included not just infidelity, a common enough human failing, but something far more sinister. Something that hinted at violence, at a truly unspeakable darkness I never imagined could possibly touch our seemingly perfect, idyllic world, leaving me feeling utterly disoriented, profoundly nauseous and completely untethered from reality. I stumbled blindly down the attic stairs, my legs like jelly, threatening to give way beneath me with every step, the shoebox of horrors, now a tangible vessel of his depravity, clutched tightly to my chest as if its gruesome contents might otherwise spill out and irrevocably taint the entire house. My once beloved home now feeling like a contaminated crime scene, every familiar object mocking my blissful, naive ignorance and my immediate, desperate instinct. A primal urge for clarity amidst the chaos was to find his laptop, to uncover the final, crushing piece of this grotesque puzzle, to somehow, impossibly, make sense of the incomprehensible horror that had just unfolded before my disbelieving, tear-filled eyes. I found it, predictably resting innocently on his desk in his home office, its screen dark, its secrets patiently waiting to be revealed, a silent digital accomplice to his deceit. And with trembling fingers I lifted the lid, praying for a password, for some protective barrier to the final, crushing blow, for a moment of reprieve, but the screen flickered to life without protest, as if eager to deliver the killing stroke to my already shattered soul. And there, starkly visible against the glowing desktop, was an open messaging application, its most recent exchange, a final, agonizing dagger plunged deep into my heart, twisting with brutal precision. "See you tonight, babe." My entire body convulsed, a violent, uncontrollable tremor rippling through me, from the tips of my fingers to the soles of my feet, as the full, devastating weight of that simple, intimate text message, A final, unequivocal confirmation of his ongoing brazen deception slammed into my consciousness, shattering the last fragile remnants of my sanity and leaving me breathless, reeling from the profound sense of utter annihilation, a complete erasure of everything I thought I knew. Babe. The sickeningly familiar endearment, a term of affection once reserved solely for me, so casually exchanged with another woman, so carelessly left exposed for me to find, twisted the knife of betrayal deeper, more agonizingly, into the raw, gaping wound in my soul, obliterating any lingering hope, any last desperate, pathetic attempt to rationalize his abhorrent, monstrous behavior, revealing the cold, brutal, undeniable truth of his calculated, prolonged deceit. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow, a concussive shockwave that reverberated through every cell of my being. He was not just cheating, a common enough human failing, but he was living a meticulously constructed, depraved, double life, a chilling masterpiece of lies built upon a foundation of my unwavering, foolish trust. A betrayal so profound it defiled not only our marriage, our sacred union, but the very essence of my being, making me question every shared laugh, every tender touch, every whispered promise, turning them all into grotesque, mocking caricatures of love, leaving me feeling utterly hollowed out and consumed by a cold, burning rage. A cold, terrifying calm settled over me then, an unnerving stillness that replaced the initial shock and gut-wrenching pain with a chilling, resolute clarity, because I knew with an absolute, unwavering certainty what I had to do. And the method of my confrontation, the final, devastating act of this tragic play, would be as meticulously planned, as ruthlessly executed, as his own elaborate deception had been. My hands, though still trembling with the lingering aftershocks of discovery, moved with a newfound terrifying purpose as I retrieved my own phone, its camera lens now transformed into a silent, unwavering witness to the impending storm, a cold, impartial eye that would capture every nuance of his downfall. And I adjusted the settings with a surgeon's precision, ensuring it was recording. Because this confrontation, this final, devastating expose, would not be a private scream lost to the empty, echoing walls of our fractured home, but a documented, irrefutable record of his monstrous lies, a chilling testament to the brutal, soul-destroying truth I had so painfully unearthed, a truth that would now be undeniable. My voice, when I finally spoke, was unnervingly steady, devoid of the raw, searing emotion that raged within me, a sharp, cold blade cutting through the suffocating silence of the house, a silence that now felt heavy with unspoken accusations. As I called out his name, my heart hammering against my ribs, a frantic, relentless drumbeat of impending reckoning, a countdown to his inevitable collapse. "Mark," I said, the single syllable hanging in the air like a death knell, a solemn pronouncement of the end of everything. "Could you come here for a moment? I found something in the attic that I think you'll want to see. Something that explains quite a lot about your late nights and business trips and perhaps even this." He appeared in the doorway of his office, his face a carefully constructed mask of feigned innocence, a casual, unsuspecting smile playing on his lips. The very same smile that had so effortlessly convinced me to embark on this destructive treasure hunt, this agonizing excavation of our shattered lives, completely oblivious to the carefully laid trap, to the silent cameras recording his every blink, his every breath, his every eventual flicker of terror, capturing the precise moment of his world's violent implosion. His eyes, still clouded with the practiced ease of deception, met mine, expecting perhaps a cheerful report on my progress with the attic cleaning, or a casual request for help with another heavy box. And for a fleeting moment, a terrifying, surreal beat, a breath held in the agonizing space between certainty and doubt. I almost hesitated, almost faltered, almost let the monstrous truth retreat back into the comforting shadows of his lies, almost allowed the carefully constructed facade of our life to remain intact. But the searing image of that blood-stained shirt, the chilling, intimate words on his laptop screen, and the raw, unadulterated pain of his profound betrayal solidified my resolve, hardening my will into an unyielding force. I slowly, deliberately held up the shoebox. Its contents, now revealed in the harsh light of truth, suddenly seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, its grim reality starkly visible, undeniable, in the artificial glow of the office, and the forced, casual smile on his face slowly, agonizingly, began to falter, to crack, to crumble, replaced by a growing flicker of confusion, then dawning dread, and finally, absolute, unadulterated terror, a raw, primal fear that stripped away every layer of his meticulously crafted deception. The truth, finally exposed in all its horrifying glory, hung heavy in the air, thick and suffocating, a palpable weight that pressed down on him, and the camera held steady in my shaking hand, continued its silent, relentless recording, capturing every nuance of his horrified realization, every subtle shift in his expression, every desperate gasp for air, as the carefully constructed world of his lies began to violently implode around him, leaving him utterly exposed, utterly alone, utterly damned, a shattered reflection of the man I once believed him to be.